Cheers.
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 Welcome to the afternoon pint, morning coffee edition. I'm Mike Tobin.
I'm Matt Conrad.
Who do we have with us today?
Oh, Peter Lepeniotis.
Perfect. Yeah, nice to meet
Peter.
you, Peter.
Nice
Cheers
to meet you
and
guys.
welcome.
So in the spirit of morning coffee edition, I'll let you know I'm here in front of my Halloween shrine at home. I don't know if you can see, Peter, but we have the zombie deer in the back here.
Oh, that's the deer picture you were talking about with the
Yeah.
glowing eyes.
So we repurposed an old IKEA painting, my partner and I, and we put some lights in its eyes and put some blood around to make it look scary. The kids didn't like it. They thought it'd be fun, but they were like, "Ew, why'd you do that?" And then for drinks, I'm having a hot toddy, JD Shore rum, a little Nova Scotia maple syrup. Matt, look at that, buddy.
Oh, there you go.
And I just use a little tea and lemon there, right? So, what are you
Well,
drinking, Matt?
I'm at my folks' place, hence we were talking earlier about the terrible hockey team in the background. But what's the better Canadian brunch drink other than a Caesar? So I'm drinking a Caesar, a little extra spicy.
Perfect. Peter, what are you having?
I'm having a coffee
Nice.
and last minute threw in some Baileys really quick
Oh, there you go.
to join the team.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. The reason we're here to talk today is your zombie movie, is coming out, I think, October 22nd on the Hollywood Suite package, right? That's Hollywood Suite done on just Canada-wide if you want to check out the show. So, zombie movie, this is your first live action feature, right? Like you've had a pretty crazy career, 30 years, I think, now in the industry from going and a bit of a transition from animation to film. Is that correct?
That is totally correct. Yeah.
Cool.
Animation for, since 93, graduating from Sheridan College in Oakville.
Oh,
yeah.
shared. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, at that time, there weren't many schools. So it was like there were two schools. There was Concordia and Sheridan if you wanted to do animation. So, I got out in 93 and then the industry was hopping then. So, I got a job in the States and animated on a bunch of stuff down there.
One of your first big pictures was Casper that Matt and I
That's
probably both
Casper.
watched.
Yeah.
And we loved it, right? Like that was one of the rewatch movies as when we were young, you'd watch Casper 46 times in a row.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
That was a huge
Casper was a big
VHS
one for
replay
us in
movie
this
in our
house.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then you actually went to work on one of my very favorite like childhood films, Toy Story.
Yeah.
Right? As an animator, and the best Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2. Yeah.
The pinnacle.
It probably it's tough to say the original obviously was really good, but like some people say Toy Story 2 was, the better of all of them. So
I think it was the Empire Strikes Back of the Toy Story films.
Yeah.
Well said.
Every one of them.
Yeah, it is. I'm not bragging about it, but honest to God, it was like I just was lucky to step into that situation when they were working on it, and I came in and animated on it. And I remember they showed us. I don't know if you guys know what storyboards are. Storyboard reels, right? Where because it's very expensive, you can't do the whole movie and see it. So you do it before. In pre-production, you set it all up, you draw it all out, and you put the voices in and the music and all that. And I remember we watched it, just that, and I was going, "Am I working on this? This is incredible!" Like, especially with You Got a Friend in Me at the end when the who was it? It comes out, it was Buble or not? The jazz singer comes out and does the big
Randy Newman.
Frank. Was it Randy Newman?
Okay.
It's a Randy Newman song, but I forget who's the guy. Anyway, it was a Tony Bennett type of guy. Does the big song and dance at the end, and I remember just going, "This is like," turning to my buddy Steve and just going, "Man, what is this? What are we on?"
Yeah.
Like, it was mind blowing. That
how much more challenging was computer animation back then? Like you worked on Casper, and that movie. What's crazy about that movie is I watched it with my kid. Now I watched it maybe 4 years ago, and what I had to say about the animation is it holds up, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Movies that
Big
don't.
time.
Well, yeah, the movie looks like Casper and his friends look, and in most of the scenes, still very grounded in the film. Like, I mean, and that seems like a trickier thing today than it was, in some movies like that. I've always just been surprised. Like, I mean, what was the approach to the animation in that movie, Casper?
The thing was, it's the supervisors from that were the guys who did Jurassic Park a year earlier.
Oh, okay.
So it was Industrial Light and Magic. So this was, they put their best people on it, because Spielberg was producing it. He wasn't
Mm.
directing it. Brad Sibling was the director. And yeah, they put a lot of people on it, and everyone was really excited with the CG thing. So we had like Dennis Muren from Star Wars fame, and he's supervising it. So it had a lot of heft behind it. So the production really had a lot of support. So everything we were doing was like state of the art at the time. So I think the work that you are complimenting was because of that. I think it's just like, you know, when you throw enough effort at something, it could actually look really good.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm happy to hear that you think it still holds up. I
I,
haven't
I
seen
mean,
it in a long
I
time.
think so.
You know,
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think back and you look at like how the ghosts were done and all that, like, that's a movie that could easily be made today. And I don't know if the animation honestly would be any better today than it would be like than it would have been back then. Because I mean, the ghosts and everything in the animation were done quite well, like, fairly, you know, for the type of film that it is, right? It's not a horror movie,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
mean, for the type of film that it is, you're not trying to make it actual like, ghostly scary. So I don't know if the animation would be any better today, to be quite honest with you. And this is 30 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
hundred.
I mean, the methodology would be the same. I mean, animation hasn't changed in the last 100 years. I mean, the way you approach it is the same. The process of thinking about a shot and animating something that's dead, you know,
But
that
like, someone who's in the industry, like, you'd be able to know this a little better than I, but as a consumer, sometimes I watch a movie and, I'm sitting there thinking like, this is 2024 or whenever, I watch the movie. And sometimes the CGI is just can be so campy that you're just kind of like, where are we? Like I've seen movies in the 90s that just look more realistic or more believable than what I'm watching right now. So
yeah.
I guess I guess what I'm kind of approaching, I guess, is when I think of the animation, like I believe a little bit more the Casper movie because it's supposed to be a little cartoony because it's supposed to be for a younger audience, but it's also doesn't look bad. It doesn't look campy, right? Versus sometimes you see things where it's just kind of like, ugh, like that was supposed to look real and it didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's a lot more places doing it now.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, like, there's a lot more guys in their basements. There's a lot, you farm stuff out to places, and you know where sometimes the people in the country don't know the material they're working with, and it's and stuff has gotten cheaper. So these things are going to
Mm.
happen. Things are going to look, the spectrum is much larger now. Before it was like, CG was like, that little top tier stuff, where
Yeah.
now it's so prevalent that it can look from the worst to the best now.
Yeah.
But it's funny now with AI coming in, and I don't know how, if there people are utilizing that as well, but that could be
Okay.
an issue. Could be either good or bad as well. So yeah, just a wide gamut now of quality. It's all over the place. But
Do you know if like the demand for animators are still there like it was maybe 30 years ago, like when you started, or do you say like it's still is it oversaturated at this point, or is automation taking people's jobs, or what do you think?
I wasn't expecting these cool questions.
Sorry.
You're asking great questions. Wow,
Yeah.
I thought we were just gonna get drunk. No,
Oh yeah, no, Matt and I drank all night talking
We're
about
doing that
it.
too.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
I'll give you better answers. No, yeah, it's funny because being a director, you have the spare, not spare time, but between the projects, you need to fill in, to make some money. So I take teaching gigs, and the amount of animators are that come into a class might be 15, right, or maybe 16, but the amount of classes there are now, it's all over the world. Like, I mean, again, like I
Mm.
said in the beginning, when I said that Sheridan and Concordia were the only two schools, teaching animation, and
Hmm.
Sheridan being the only one teaching the Disney style,
Right.
the nine old men stuff. Uh, Now it's everywhere. Like, I mean, walk down the street, there's a course being taught. I mean, I'm sure where you guys are, and I think there's some great studios where you guys are,
Yeah.
where there's
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
there's schools. Yeah, I mean, there's a,
we got a
burgeoning
big one
industry in the
here.
East.
Also, we have a big one here, like HFX. They do like Inspector Gadget and Care Bears.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know there was always a strong 2D, traditional way of animating out there as well, but now the CG is everywhere. I mean, you could take a course in Manitoba. It's like it's
It can
everywhere, guys.
be
There's
a,
no, I mean, it's
can be more a
wide
hobby
all
for
over the
people
world.
too, right? Like, I mean, I can take things up. Matt and I are looking at doing our very first project, and I was talking to him about it last week, and he's talking to him about, and then the place is going to be all lit on fire, right, and burned to the ground, and he's like, "Okay, dude, how are you going to do that?
You
Yeah.
can do it.
You can't burn a bar down to the ground, right?"
I
So
mean, I would love to do that. That would be
yeah.
hilarious and awesome and fun.
Well, I
But
mean, last night, the other day, I started looking on YouTube, started watching to see how it's done. In 22 minutes, front to back, people will show you fantastic ways to burn a
Yeah,
bird with digital technology, right?
yeah.
And these are guys, like you said, doing it in their basement, man. And it looks pretty darn good, right? A lot of the
plus,
time.
Mike and I here, we're actually taking some filmmaker classes right now, actually. So just trying to learn some stuff.
We're jumping into it blind. Yeah.
Hey, look, no, I love it. You know, the best way to do it, guys, is to like get a shot of yourselves going, "Oh my God, the barn's on fire."
Yeah.
Cut to a bar, get some stock footage of a barn on fire. Have somebody throwing red light on your faces, going, "Whoa, it's really going up!" Like, you could do it that way.
That's the
Yep.
cheapest way to do
That's
it.
the cheapest way. But if it's a good movie, that stuff works, and the audience doesn't even care. Sometimes they're going, as long as I'm buying the story, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be you guys in there, getting the horses out and throwing water.
100%. We just had a director on last week, and she basically had like it was a vigilante type person. She was going out to avenge folks that were treating hypocritical hipsters, right? That were pretending to be feminists, but were actually manipulative monsters. It was a great premise for a
That's
movie.
hilarious.
Yeah. So it's like, so she's like a vigilante character, but because of the constraints of film, there's no she couldn't have any violence in it, where they actually physically went and harmed a director or
Yeah.
director
That
person.
happens.
An actor.
But
Yeah.
man, it was a really cool. It still works. The movie still absolutely works because it kind of cuts off and your imagination does the rest, right?
Yeah, man. It's like I found that with parameters, when you've got restrictions, your imagination has to work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as a director, I'm saying, as a filmmaker, and when you guys will discover this, like when you're doing your film, you'll see like, hey, we don't have the money to do that. So, well, let's think, how do we get the same idea across? It's almost like finding another word in a sentence when you're talking. Like, I can't use that word, I'll use this word. It's the same thing, but the effect, as long as the effect is the same, that's all that matters. In other words, the story is all that
Right.
matters. The effect
And
is
you know
really
what?
kind of just there for thrills. It's not, you know, it doesn't
Well,
have to be this great
there's
effect.
something to be said too about kind of letting the imagination. This is another thing we talked about, is letting the viewer's imagination take over can sometimes be better than showing it to themselves,
Hmm.
right?
100%.
That can be definitely be better, right? And it's it's just this is the great thing about art, is you leave it up to the interpretation of the person who's receiving that, the art, right? So, yeah, there's lots of things you can do about that, which I think is really good. It's always good to hear from people in the industry and give us certain tips. And, we just got to get out there and try some things and fail at some things and learn from that. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes me want to jump to like, so after you've done all this stuff with Toy Story and Disney, another movie that I've watched of yours already, The Nut Job, because, I have a 12-year-old, so The Nut Job came out at a perfect time, right? So I heard that movie, I watched it once and heard it about 13 times, if you know what I mean, right? With the kids love to rewatch movies.
Right.
So, yeah, like what was it like directing your first animated feature? Like shifting gears from just being on the story and writing and working on these characters to actually directing the whole thing. Like, how does that work on an animated feature?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's yeah. Well, I did a short film first called Surly Squirrel. It's on YouTube. You can check it out.
Yeah.
Surly Squirrel. It's like 12 minutes long, and I did that. That was my first directorial, attempt. And then it got moved to being turned into a movie, and before the movie starts to go, there's all that writing you do, guys. The storyboarding and writing, and you keep working on the story, keep making it better or worse. But you just keep moving forward. And the thing for me was just like the stamina required to just get through it. That was about 2 years to make that. And looking back on it as my first, I always go, I'd love to fix that, or that kind of works. Yeah. In terms of looking back on that, guys, that was like 2014, 2013. So about 2011 to 2014 is when I worked on it. So it's been a while, but yeah, it was a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of, again, stamina. It's just a matter of like keeping your mental wits about you at all times. There's stuff coming at you every 2 seconds that I wasn't used to.
Well,
But eventually, slowly, you start trusting your own instincts and knowing what's right. But there's a lot of times where you question yourself, and that's something I don't do anymore as much. But before, it was kind of like, am I doing the right thing here? So yeah, that was the big process for me, is like dealing with all those departments, all those people. I mean, if you watch the credits on that, it's just like this endless
massive, massive
stream of names,
and
right?
like,
That was
you had like characters like Liam Nielsen in that film, I believe, right?
Liam Neeson was in it.
Sorry, and
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett.
Who they were telling me, don't hire Will Arnett. They were saying, don't hire him. And I was thinking to myself, the guy's Canadian.
Right.
He's fantastically funny. And I thought, it's like, he's perfect.
Yeah.
One of the funniest guys. But at the time, he had only done, what is it?
Arrested Development.
Arrested Development.
But he did a great role. I loved him in Arrested Development.
Of course. He was hilarious.
Man, I love him in that show.
Hilarious. And it wasn't the character of Surly, but I could see in his voice, he had this gruff voice. Anyway, they didn't want to use him.
But now he's Batman.
And he's Batman. He's got this. Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's Lego fantastic. Batman.
He's Lego Batman. The best Lego Batman.
Are you face to face with like the voice actors? Or
yeah, I was there with Liam and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Hung out with them.
We're always curious about that.
Well, the way it works is like you come in, you meet the actor, you discuss the role. They ask some questions. Liam was really nice, like, of course, great guy. But what I discovered with Liam was that, with these consummate professional actors, they literally, they don't listen to anyone else in the room. They just hone in on you. If you're the director, they hone right in on you. And I'm going, this is Liam Neeson talking to me. But when he zeroed in on me, I was so like, oh, okay, well, this is my job. It's work now. It's not, this is Liam Neeson. This is a job. I'm like talking to an actor, and he's asking me about, like, telling him, well, he can't see the room, but there's a chair here. There's the character. You're talking to the character is about 2 feet away from you. This is happening, and you're feeling this. This is what happened prior. This is what's going to happen. So you discuss all these parts of the story to him, and yeah, he was so professional.
Your
so professional.
Job is to put his head there in the space.
Exactly, and let him go.
So cool.
Especially with the good actors, like the big ones. Like I'm going to stand back. There's no way I'm going to sit there. Can you just, you might go in and say, can you tweak that? Because they want to hear some direction. They don't want to say, just let me go crazy here. But they want some corralling. But
well, yeah, I mean, especially a guy like Liam Neeson, who's done so much for decades. I mean, the guy's he's been in some incredible movies, right? Like, Oscar-winning movies, and just and then everything down to one of my favorite things he did was in Ted 2. He did that little scene with the Lucky Charms, or the tricks are for kids, or thing.
Yeah, he does the Irish guy. I know.
Yeah, and he was like, "Are you sure no one's gonna follow me?" And he's like, "I won't forget what you've done for me today." And like, funny.
He is funnier than you think. He's hilarious. And what makes him funny is he's so dry. I mean, I know he's not funny in Nut Job, but after the recording, I remember talking to him and saying, "Hey, what are you doing next?" And he's like, this whole action movie thing, no one's believing it. I want to start doing comedy." And I'm like, is he joking? He's like, serious. He's like, comedy, that's the place to be. He goes, it's amazing. Ricky Gervais and we had a lot of fun. He goes, and he just kept talking about comedy and how action movies are pathetic and stupid, and nobody's buying me jumping out of a helicopter. He says, and I'm like, this is
Meanwhile,
the guy.
they made three Taken movies because
I
the
know.
first one was so amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
They made money, right? So
yeah,
you can't escape that. Once it starts making money, you know.
I'm a big ambassador for comedies. Whenever any actor crosses over the line to comedy, I think it's one of the hardest places to be, and I absolutely love it. Right? I mean, I love it when they can come through and
it's like De Niro. De
Yeah.
Niro can
Yeah.
be some of the best. He's one of my favorite actors. Like he's one of the best dramatic actors, and then he goes into a comedy, and I'm busting up laughing.
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
How
Like
funny he
Midnight
is.
Run is one of the funniest
Yeah.
movies. My son and I just can't stop watching. We love it. It's so funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's hilarious. De Niro's
Yeah.
hilarious.
How old's your son?
Oh, right now he's 18.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Right on. Yep.
Yeah.
Any
Oh.
interest in the family business?
Yeah, let's not get into this. He's going into film studies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I tried talking about it. I tried telling him, "Don't do it, buddy. Don't do it." But he wants to do it. Let's see.
Good for him. Why not
Yeah.
try
Yeah, that's
first?
good.
And lots of life to live. So whatever.
Oh yeah, he's young enough.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So okay, we
That's it.
should probably talk about Zombie Town. We're
Sure, Zombie Town. Yeah. Okay, we're
So
okay on time.
yeah, Zombie Town. Like, if I could give you my interpretation of it, actually, like, watching it this morning, this movie brought me back to like grade 4, grade 5.
That's
honestly.
exactly.
yeah.
That's it. You don't have to say anymore because that's
Yeah.
exactly what the intention is. It's not
'Cause
meant
I
to
was
be
a huge
horror.
Goosebump guy, right?
Yeah.
Huge Goosebump guy. Loved R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
This was almost like SNL meets R.L. Stein novels. Like SNL meets Goosebumps, because I mean, you have Chevy Chase, you have Dan Aykroyd in there. I like that you kind of threw a couple Canadian in there, like you have the what's his face from The Kids in the Hall, things like that. Like, so there's a couple
Two of
little
them.
nods. Like, yeah, they have, so there's like some Canadian nods in there, which I liked.
Mhm.
But honestly, it was like SNL meets meets Goosebumps with, yeah, it honestly, it brought me back to being grade 4, grade 5 again.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the biggest compliment, because that's the idea. We were my co-writer and I always said, it's like, we're not making a movie for teenagers. We're not making a
Right.
It's not Scream. It's not. It's even. It's an entryway, gateway film for a 10-year-old to get into horror films. To say, oh, zombies. Okay, I get it. We can't have. And if you noticed in the movie, we don't have any brain eating. We don't have
Nope.
any of that
Yep.
stuff. But we had to come up with some kind of soul sucking that
Yes.
we did.
Yeah.
With that whole Disney magic thing with the lights and all that. So it's really a young 9 to 11-year-old kid's idea of what a horror film can be, that is friendly enough to watch with your folks. I don't even think we have any swearing in it.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think we did. I think the producer said to me, he goes, "Go ahead and swear," and I had swearing going on, but then we cut it out. It wasn't needed. Even I felt it didn't need it.
The lines can be blurred a little bit sometimes with these things, right? Like, I mean, I have a 3-year-old, and he's really into superheroes and everything. And we were watching a Green Lantern movie that we saw on one of the streaming things.
Right.
And we were watching it, and obviously it's Green Lantern, so there's some, it's cartoon, but it's violence a little bit and all that stuff. And my wife asked me, she's like, "Are you sure this is good for him?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's probably maybe punching a little bit of above his weight class, but he likes the superheroes, whatever." And I was like, probably not much more, because I mean, I watched Spider-Man and X-Men when I was like, 7 years old or something, right?
Yeah.
So, but then all of a sudden, at one point, I think one of the characters calls someone a bastard in it, and I was kind of like, okay, maybe. Maybe this
What, is it
isn't
a
for who I
movie
thought it was
or-
going to be for.
Is it a kids movie or a TV show?
It was a hour and 15-minute long Green
yeah.
Lantern origin story for like Sinestro.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
it's a tricky spot to be in with the kids. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, my son saw stuff that maybe he shouldn't. My daughter's watching stuff way above her age too. It's like, holy moly, like,
so is mine. We just watched.
Yeah.
We watched The Exorcist. We've seen all the things.
oh, whoa!
Yeah.
How old's your kid?
She's
for
big into
Exorcist?
horror. 12.
12.
But
Yeah, I was probably 12 when I saw it, 12 or 13. I
I
lost my
I think I
mind
was
though.
I was like 8 or 9 when I saw The Exorcist, but
yeah,
that
Oh,
I had a cousin, older cousin, who was like 3.5 years older than me, and he was like, "Let's watch it." We were in his basement, and he was like, "Let's watch The Exorcist," and I was like, "Sure." So I kind of experienced a lot of things at the same time he did. So I kind of punched a bunch my above my weight class at times.
we watched the original Carrie the other week, and I forgot all about the like nude scene, like at the very beginning of that
the
movie.
very
That
beginning, yeah.
yeah,
That,
it's like the longest nude scene of all
it's the
time.
longest nude scene,
Talk
and
about
it's
the
so
most uncomfortable thing
whoa.
to watch with your stepdaughter. You're like, oh
Oh,
fuck.
yeah, bro. How old is she? How old is
12.
she?
Well,
Yeah.
I was watching it with her and her mom.
Uh,
I'm basically, I'm sitting on a chair, like the chair to the right of the couch, and I just basically turned the chair around, the entire time myself. I'm like, all right, you guys enjoy this. I'll be back in a sec.
I pause and just, we're gonna fast forward through this, honey. I think this is kind of boring.
Yeah,
I like doing that one. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, this is boy, they're just talking.
But yeah,
But yeah, so but honestly, like Zombie Town seems pretty safe for pretty much all ages.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like
that's the key. Yeah,
yeah,
that it's safe for a lot of people to watch, and I think Aykroyd was excited about that too because he wanted his kids in the film,
oh,
right, yes, yeah.
cool.
And
and he asked
I
us,
mean, I'm a huge Dan Aykroyd fan. I mean, he's a
"Oh,
Ghostbuster,
bro,
so I love that,
oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah, Dan is, yeah, yeah, your heart." I know it's like I couldn't believe it when he look. I was taken out to talk to him to get him interested in the film, and I just thought to myself, even if he says no, I don't care. The fact that
yeah,
I just was in the same room with this guy is
Amazing.
all I cared about. I was just like, I just want to be in the same room with him, just meet him, talk to him for like 10 minutes, and like I am just set for life. And I did not expect him to say yes. He was like,
Well, and I mean, he's a big supernatural guy anyway.
and that's how we that's how yeah, we baited
Yeah,
him. That's how I
yeah.
baited him. Yeah, yeah. I knew it
He
because
he
he's a
loves
big
that
ghost
stuff.
guy. He loves, I mean, he's like,
Well,
you
I saw
know,
that you a couple nods, like people may not know it, especially the kids, but there's a couple. There's a little. I noticed a few nods to him in the movie because I saw his little crystal skull vodka.
well, that was on purpose.
Of
Yeah,
course.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
on purpose. That
yeah.
was me. That was me literally
Yeah.
going, "Hey, Dad, I'll put in as many of your crystal skulls as you want," and he just loves that. He
yes,
goes,
I bet he did.
"Oh yeah, I was sticking them in everywhere." Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's obviously he made the. If anyone who's listening doesn't know, he is the one who owns Crystal Skull Vodka, and that is based off of the same Crystal Skull of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, like those theories and all that stuff. So yeah,
But for
that
him,
was
it's not a theory.
well,
It's
yeah,
real
to
for
him,
him.
it's not a theory.
For
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
it's real.
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of
So I
podcasts,
mean,
let's do them on Joe Rogan sometime. If you ever get a chance to watch
Yeah, I've
Aykroyd,
seen that one. Yeah.
that's like a
Oh,
few hours
incredible.
long. It's fantastic. Yeah,
Oh, it's incredible.
fantastic episode. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm a big fan of him. So as soon as I saw that, as soon as I saw he was in it, I was like, okay, I'm pretty excited to see this. And then Chevy Chase is in it, and
Hmm.
I was not, to be completely honest, not a huge like 1980s Chevy Chase fan. But what won me over with Chevy Chase was Community. Loved Community,
Yes,
and he
yes,
was
he's
so
great in
good
that.
in it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's so
so
good
good
in
in
it.
it. Yeah.
He's so good in it.
So I
Yeah.
can ask you back to you on the director's chair. Like, so you went from animated
Oh,
to
to live action.
live
Yeah.
action.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like? Did you find like it was like infinite more challenges, or was it easier in a sense? Like, how did you feel about that transition?
Look, I'll put it to you this way. Like I said, I directed 2 animated feature films
Hmm.
before Zombie Town, and I will tell you that directing Zombie Town, which was basically 4 weeks long, was 4 weeks only
Hmm.
Hmm.
shooting time. And that shooting time was, I'm not joking, guys, the hardest gig I've ever had in my entire life. The hardest. I've never been so inundated with like questions and intensity. Look, I don't know. Other live action directors might say, "Oh, it's nothing." For me, that was like, and I mean, I've worked as a janitor. I've done stock boy. I've been a waiter. I'm talking. I've been in the Armed Force Reserve at Fort York. This was the hardest job. Just guys, like super hard. Like it was a night shoot too, so we'd start at like
Mm.
4 or 5 in the afternoon,
Mm.
shoot all night, and you'd be going home at 6. Let me put it to you this way, and I know we're running out of time here,
Oh
but
yeah.
they said to me, you need a driver to drive you home. Right. And in all the
Yeah.
other things I directed, I always drive myself home. I'd be like, what's the problem? Why would I need a driver to drive me home? The reason they have a driver to drive you home is because you are so spent.
And
I
Yeah.
don't know. It's almost as if like you've taken like a huge concoction of drugs or alcohol and you're so messed up, but it's all from the sheer intensity of the directorial experience that you're just like this being driven back. You cannot drive. It's totally true.
I was gonna say
Yeah. So
it's probably an insurance stipulation. We're insurance guys, so they probably said, "Hey, we don't want
he's gonna
anyone getting in
crash.
accidents on the way back."
Exactly.
So this
Well-
must have been long. Like, yeah, you were saying like so from like 5 until 6. So you're doing like 13-hour overnight shoots.
13, 14-hour shoots. Yeah.
Now, did you
yeah.
go like 7 days a week for 4 weeks, or did you take some
No,
breaks?
we had the weekends off.
You did, okay.
We had the weekends off, surprisingly enough, because of union rules.
Yes.
Because they'd break you. I don't think I could survive if it was full 24/7. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 5 days, but those 5 days were grueling. Yeah, I could go on and on about it, but it was incredible. There were moments where it's like, this is awesome and it's amazing this is happening, and I'm controlling like a huge set of all these people, but at the same time, you're constantly worried about your budget, your schedule, time, producers sitting there going like this the whole time, walking past you. Like the time, so you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to get this exactly the way I wanted. I just got to go. So that's the difference between that and animation. In animation, it's like stretched out over like, a year and a half too. And this is like those 2.5 years squashed into 4 weeks. And I'm
Wow.
not kidding. All the arguments, all the discussions, all the meetings, all that. So that's it in a nutshell.
Are you jumping into another live action feature next, or are you looking at doing animation again? What's next for you?
I'll do either. I've got, again, like being a director, it's like these things, sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. Right. So there's a bunch of things on the boilerplate right now. They're ready to go. Some are not. So yeah, some are live action, majority are animation. Cause
Okay.
yeah. So yeah.
So
Well,
before we let you go, you start your movie Zombie Town with a R.L. Stein quote, and I figured I'd have to ask you because it talks about basically the quote, to paraphrase, is if zombies weren't real, there wouldn't be so many stories about them.
Right.
So does Peter think zombies are real?
Of course not. But on film, in cinema, they're real.
Yeah.
mhm.
I don't know how to put it. Like in terms of like cinematically speaking, it's like they are it's the most powerful image, like the idea of dead people walking, coming to come after you, especially the fact that they're slow.
Listen,
Is
zombies are
such a
like,
great image.
out of all the, take away ghosts, because some people don't think ghosts are a threat, but of all of the supernatural threats that we face, zombies are probably one of the biggest and most real things that people worry about, because literally the expression is, well, what do we do when the zombies
Zombie
come?
apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. I don't know why that is.
Such an
Zombie's just a
obsession.
great movie idea, is what it is.
I think apocalypse is an obsession as well. Post-apocalyptic world,
Yes.
funnest things to build ever, right? That's where the brain goes, and it's just a fun place. You can do whatever you want, right? You can. I was just watching Mad Max there the other night, the new one. It was fantastic. What was
The
it called?
Furiosa?
Furiosa. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
liked it.
I loved it. I loved it.
It was
I thought it was
great.
great.
It was great.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's getting such a bad rap. It was like,
No, I have no idea. I watched it in 2 parts, but it was a longer movie, and I watched it, started too late at night, but I absolutely loved it from start to finish.
Hemsworth is amazing in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did a wicked job. Yeah, fun
Yeah.
show. So actually, so right after you, our next episode is Elliot Van Dusen. He's a paranormal investigator for Atlantic Canada. So he was an ex RCMP officer,
No
and
way.
yeah, now he spends
He
his
investigates the paranormal.
yeah,
Hold on,
100%.
I'm writing this one down.
Yeah, so he's coming out on the 29th. So right after your show here. So we got a real nice theme going of paranormal. So do
That's
you
awesome.
yourself believe in ghosts?
Yes, I've had a couple weird things happen to me.
Cool. And aliens.
Sure. Yes.
All right. Awesome.
Yes, I had to just
So-
play that over because you guys are official. Like, so when I say this stuff, this is on the
Right.
record. So I got to think it out.
Yeah, it'll be
Yes.
the front page of the newspaper tomorrow
Yeah,
morning.
exactly.
This honestly, like, this is awesome, Peter, because this is really fitting into our Halloween theme. So we were so happy to have you on here. This has been
100%.
awesome. Like, yeah,
You guys are fantastic.
Yeah,
I'd love
just
to. You
love to meet
guys.
you.
I want to do this again with another movie if I can with you guys. You guys are fantastic.
Absolutely.
So
Anytime, man. Reach out direct, even if you want to call us and rant about somebody. We'll
I
take
would
it.
love to. Any
As long as
excuse
the
to
drink in your
throw.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
and if you need a voice actor, I thought about doing that when I was a kid. So give me a shout.
There you go. There you go. Writing it down. Awesome.
Conrad. All right.
Yeah. All right, Peter.
All right, fellas.
Fantastic meeting you,
Cheers.
sir.
All the best, guys. You guys are fantastic.
All right. Have a nice day.
Appreciate it.